Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.
Are you a motherless daughter? What if we told you we have 20 years worth of truth treasures, pearls of wisdom, and diamonds of hope to help you with your mother loss? We do, and we share all things mother loss on Nurturing Words, Voices of Experience, a podcast by the Motherless Daughters Ministry. Give yourself some self-care and listen as we discuss grief, regret, anger, redemption, closure, and so much more.
Hello, I'm Gladys Bell, your host for today. Today, we have an interview with one of the motherless daughters in our community, Vanessa West. We hope you will be encouraged by this heartfelt conversation as she discusses her experiences with mother loss and the Motherless Daughters Ministry. If you are blessed by our ministry and would like to give back through a donation, please check out our show notes for a link. As a nonprofit working to reach motherless daughters, we appreciate your support. Every donation helps make a difference in providing content for motherless daughters. Now let's listen to the interview today with Vanessa West.
Thank you for joining us for our live interview. And I want to thank Vanessa for joining us. Vanessa is one of our community members of Motherless Daughters Ministry. She's going to talk a little bit about her story and her experiences with the ministry. So thank you so much, Vanessa, for joining us this evening.
Hi, Sarah Lynn. Hi, everyone. As Sarah Lynn stated, I'm Vanessa and I'm from Los Angeles, and I'm really happy to be here with all of you to discuss mother loss and grief and how it affects our lives.
Yes, thank you so much. But Vanessa, I thought I'd just start by, like I said, all of the motherless daughters in our community all have such unique stories, and we can find threads that are common between all our stories, but we all have very unique circumstances in how we experience mother loss. So I want to just open it up first by giving you a chance to tell anything you'd like about your story of mother loss and kind of how you got to the point of finding the ministry.
Well, I actually found Motherless Daughters Ministry on Facebook, actually. It's kind of the only social media I'm really on more than anything else. And I lost my mother in the latter part of 2021, unfortunately, to the pandemic. So it was a very sudden loss. And I was about close to 6 months out after the fact. And I was starting to research topics on mother loss, grief, retreats, and anything relative to these topics online. Also, I'm an avid reader, and I'd heard about the book called Motherless Daughters. I believe Hope Edelman is the author. And this ministry I know is loosely based on that. And ironically, I came across a copy of it going through my mother's things in the months after her passing. Probably because she had actually lost her mother, my grandmother, quite young. She was a very young adult. So I kind of took that as a sign of I needed to channel my grief in a healthy and supportive way. And sometimes you have to look outside of your own family members who they're each grieving in their own way. And if sometimes you need to find a different group that understand what you're going through. And so I did a deep dive online and I came across Motherless Daughters Ministry that way.
Thank you so much for sharing. I know it can do so much good for others to be able to share your stories and your experiences. And what an interesting connection to be able to find that book, like you said, that you found of your mother's things and have that connection to her, that she was going through that as well.
Yeah. So I don't know what point she had read the book, but it was a paperback copy. And so I just, like I said, I kind of took it as a sign of like, okay, I think I need to do something with this, and I need to do something for myself to process this.
Well, we found the ministry in similar ways. I know a lot of us come into contact with the ministry differently, but I also had found it by searching and just trying to find those resources. Was there
Mhm.
something when you found the Motherless Daughters Ministry website? Was there something that stuck out to you or something that you realized, wow, this is something different than other things that I found?
Well, like I said, I related it to the book, and I didn't know if one
Mhm.
had anything to do with the other, but I checked out the website, and there was, I think, an online form to connect with someone. So I filled it out. At that time, I think Jonda reached out to me, and we set up a time to talk. And it was a very emotional but heartwarming conversation. And after talking with her, I knew that I wanted to attend. At that point, when I found the ministry, it was only about a month and a half away from the retreat time. So it was kind of tight to actually go ahead and schedule going and everything with, work and family obligations. And I felt I was still a little raw and maybe not prepared to go at that time. So after some discussion with John, I said, you know what, I think going next year would probably be best for me. And so I committed to going, and a year goes by very quickly, and I felt I wanted to allow myself to be not only physically but emotionally ready to take the next steps in dealing with my grief. And so in 2023 is when I first attended the journey retreat.
So, was there something about the conversation or the explanation of the journey retreat that really interested you? Was it just you were really looking for something at that time, or was there something specifically about the description, like before you even got there, that stood out to you?
I think I was just really looking for something for someone to understand what I was feeling and going through at that time, which was new to me as the first really big loss for me. And so I think it was just speaking with Jonda, and she was very welcoming and comforting and reassuring. And I felt that, like I said, I was ready to meet this group of women. I mean, I was nervous, but kind of quietly excited to engage with a group of people I'd never met. And so I remember when I arrived, any inhibitions were left at the door because I felt at ease, and I knew immediately that I made the right choice in deciding to travel to attend.
The Journey Retreat is a in-person retreat that our ministry does. And I'm so glad, Vanessa, that you were able to do it and that we're able to talk about this tonight. Was there something that stood out for you with your first experience, just maybe even the first time walking in? Like you said, you were kind of looking for that community, looking for others to relate to. So was there something that first night that kind of stood out to you?
Well, I felt when I met everybody, it was the first one, it was, pretty good sized group of gals. And I felt like it was an established group of women, and they were just very welcoming and nurturing and inviting. And it just felt very warm and peaceful. And I felt like I was, a home away from home, so to speak. So I felt very comfortable immediately.
I know you talked about something that you were looking for was kind of community, being able to find others that understood what you were going through, because that's not always something that we can relate to in our own circles. Sometimes we might not know people who have experienced the same type of loss. So, was a sense of community something that you found with the women at the retreat over those days that you were there?
Yes, I did. And everyone was connected because everyone is kind of in close proximity to the area. And I was a little bit more of an outsider coming in, but I didn't feel that at all. I felt very welcomed by everyone that was there. And it was just really nice.
That's great. I know that, like you said, that can be scary to walk into a room where you don't know people, and maybe some people do know each other, or some other people are new as well. So that can be really intimidating to walk into that. Was there anything that kind of put your mind at ease, or was it just something that you kind of had to power through?
Well, seeing Jonda in person and then Mary Ellen and Gladys, it just I felt reassurance from the get-go.
That's
So
great.
I was really looking forward to what the weekend had to offer, and it just went very well.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of the way that the retreat is structured is really helping you to be able to build that community and be able to open up and connect with people that you might not be able to do typically in everyday conversation, be able to be vulnerable, but also that helps you to be able to connect with others.
Yes.
So you have a unique experience of you attended the Journey retreat and then you actually attended it again for a second time. So what was it that made you want to return to the retreat?
I think after attending the first time, I knew on the plane ride home, I'm going to want to come back. I know that it was just the beginning of my grief journey and that I would most likely return, but was keeping myself open to searching for different avenues, things, people, and places that understood loss and grief. And I guess whatever brings you comfort, peace, hope, these are things that I think we all search for at some point in our lives. And that's just the path that I was on.
So just the community that you found, you wanted to feel that again and be able to experience that in a different way a second time.
Exactly. Yeah. Yes. So the second time the group was a little smaller, but it was just as well. It felt more intimate, more personal. We had a little bit more time to get to know some of the other people since it was a smaller group. Also, the location had changed slightly and it was just even more beautiful than the first location. And they held it at the Maria Stein Retreat Center, which is really beautiful. If anyone is familiar with the movie Field of Dreams, it is very reminiscent of that. Mm-hmm. And the meals and accommodations, they just do a really nice job there at Maria Stein. So again, I was just very happy at the conclusion of the second retreat.
Great. Besides the difference in the number of people, location, were there other things? Did you find being a year later, were there new things that you discovered about the journey, or did you realize kind of a change from where you were when you did it the first time to the second time? Were there things like that you noticed that were different about attending it the second time?
Well, I think I learned in the 2 years, because 2 years passed in between the 2023, obviously, to the 2025 retreat. There was a lot of things were very similar, and then other things were a little bit different. But in a nutshell, I think it's just attending the Journey retreat, you learn how to bear this loss. And Mary Ellen and Gladys have been very instrumental in their guidance and teachings that grief isn't a one and done. It's not something you get over in a weekend, and you carry it with you every day. And some days are easier and other days can be very difficult, but it comes in waves and you learn to navigate those waters with grace and in time.
I like how you describe that. It isn't just you attend this retreat and now, everything, your grief is solved. It's over. It is a journey, and it's just about gaining community and gaining tools to help you on that journey. So I'm sure there are things that you picked up both times in different ways, by having different people, hearing different stories, making different connections. Did you find you kind of picked up different tools and maybe different things that you needed at those two different times in 2023 and then in 2025?
Yes, I think I held on to things that I felt comfortable with, or maybe had a greater strength with. And then, you might have things that you're a little bit weaker on, or that you fumble with, or you're still getting to know how to navigate certain things. And it's just, I think just everything, it comes together and it helps you with this journey.
I mean, there's obviously so many things that are planned as part of retreats, as part of courses and support groups that we do. But a big part of it, too, is just the community and those connections that you're making and conversations that you're having, even over dinner or in the evening after the programming is done. Those really make a big difference in your journey and your walk as well.
Yes.
We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we'll hear the rest of the story.
You have a powerful story to tell, and I want you to know your story will resonate with so many in our listening community. Podcasts provide us with opportunities to connect with others. fostering a sense of personal connection through the power and intimacy of one's voice. They can provide an escape, a touch point with the world outside, and a sense of community, and not just for the listeners. If you would like to be featured as a nurturing voice of experience in one of our upcoming podcasts, please let us know. Visit motherlessdaughtersministry.com today.
So how have your experiences with the Motherless Daughters Ministry, specifically with the Journey Retreat, but I know you've had other interactions and other things that you have been involved with the ministry as well. How would you say those experiences have affected your mother loss journey?
Like I said, I think it makes everything a little bit more bearable, and you're able to get through with the tools they give you. You're able to get through those difficult times of maybe birthdays and holidays, and it's made it a lot easier it's going on 4 years now for me, mother loss, and I feel like I can navigate everything a little bit better.
Is there any experience or conversation maybe that kind of stands out to you? Maybe not from the Journey Retreat. Maybe it's even just an initial conversation you had, or something, maybe a connection where you kind of kept in touch even after the retreat. Is there anything that stands out as something that, like, wow, that really had an impact on me, even if it seemed like something small in the moment?
There's so many things that Mary Ellen has told me, and I can't remember them all offhand right now, but she's just has great wisdom when it comes to that, and reminding you of that this really is a lifelong thing, and it's going to happen to everybody, and everybody's mother loss story is different though. So there's not one specific thing that stands out that I can think of, because there's been so much. There's been a lot of helpful tools.
Well, we've talked a lot about the Journey Retreat, but are there other ways that you've been connected with the ministry, even if it's just things that you've read or attended, or things that you hope to connect with the ministry?
So aside from attending as a participant, I like to support the ministry during the year when they have their fundraising. Usually my sort of give back time is around the holidays, so I like doing that, as well as you guys have that the flying pig raffle. So I usually participate in that. That supports the ministry. And the next thing on my list is I'll be taking a facilitator group leadership workshop, and I'll be doing that next month. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, that's great. It's great to be able to attend a retreat, attend a course, and then it's really great to be able to also get involved. And you find as you're facilitating and being on that side of things, you're gaining so much on your journey as well from the interactions that you're having. And it can be such a blessing to attend as a participant, and also being on the facilitator side. So that's really exciting to see the opportunities and the interactions and community that you'll build in doing that as well.
Yeah, I'll be on the flip side, so we'll see what happens there.
So if there was someone that was watching this right now, is there something that you would give? Maybe they're new to their mother loss journey. Maybe they're just starting to find resources, kind of like you and I were when we first found the ministry. Is there advice, something that you wish you had known, or something that advice you would give to someone who's kind of at that point in their journey?
If I come across someone who experiences mother loss, I think I would first say that you need to give yourself time to process the loss. I think they say those first 6 months is kind of the initial mourning period. And so I know they recommend that you don't do too much or force yourself to do too much, and just to give yourself some time to process it. Again, this is why I wanted to hold off and attend the retreat a little later, because I felt it was still very new and raw, and I didn't want to be, crying and be too emotional. I wanted to have a little bit better control of my feelings and thoughts and emotions. So I think you need to give yourself a little bit of time. It was exactly, like I said, 6 months that I'd found it. And I think when the wound is so fresh, you need to start healing. And with time, I think choosing to attend the mother loss journey retreat is the right step. I highly recommend it, whether you've lost your mother some years ago or whether it's new and recent. There's so many versions of loss, and the ministry caters to all of them. They're waiting with open arms to welcome you into this tribe. And loss is something we'll all face at some point. And I look forward to continuing to meet new faces and share our stories and heal together.
Was there anything kind of holding you back? I know you mentioned at first you decided to wait a little while because, you did think that it might be a little too fresh with how quickly the retreat was coming up when you found the ministry. But I know sometimes there can be a million things that we can think about is to kind of hold us back from doing something. And was there anything for you that you had to just kind of push through to be able to attend? Maybe that would be encouraging for someone else to hear, like, no, there was a fear, but you kind of pushed through that anyway in attending the retreat.
There wasn't so much a fear. It was more, as a mother myself, we're all busy. We've got work, whether it's a job you get it for every day or whether you're a stay-at-home mom or now there's so many work from home people. I think the biggest hurdle for myself and maybe for a lot will be taking the time off work, telling your family, the next 4 days are going to be for me. And that was really the biggest thing. And, but I'm pretty organized and I got everything, all my ducks in a row, and you need to give yourself that time to begin the healing process. And I think really that's probably the biggest thing.
It can be really hard to sometimes prioritize ourselves. We're busy taking care of other people, but I know I found for myself, and I wonder if this is true for you too, that just how much of a difference it made in my other relationship as a mother, other things that I'm doing by prioritizing that and working on my journey and focusing on that with the retreat. Did you find that made a difference in some of your relationships, work, other areas of your life?
Yes. And I think it was I received nothing but support from, my remaining parent, my father and my daughter, and other, family members and aunts, and even coworkers were like, that is so great that you're doing that for yourself. And so it just was more encouraging.
Yeah, that's great. And I'm sure the working on ourselves and prioritizing ourselves can only help us to be able to show up in other areas of our lives even better as we are gaining tools to be able to help ourselves. And it helps us in those other areas of our lives. Mm-hmm. Well, as we're wrapping up, is there just anything else that you would say to someone listening that's going through this journey?
Just follow the Motherless Daughters Ministry. If you're on Facebook regularly, follow along and for some guidance, just to get reassurance of what we're all about. And when you're ready, take the leap, do it. Do this for yourself, do this for your loved ones. So they can understand maybe what you're feeling or going through. Again, it could be something that you've been holding on to for a very long time, depending on when your mother loss is. And if it's recent, probably even better, so you can get a handle on your feelings and deal with them, and know that there's people that are feeling and going through very similar things you are. So I highly recommend at least following the ministry and seeing what it's about.
And like I said, we have a pinned comment. If you are new to the ministry, you can find a link to our website to be able to get information, figure out ways if you're interested in volunteering, or figure out support, find out about our blog, our podcast, various ways to get involved with the ministry or various programs that we have. But we want to thank you, Vanessa, so much for taking the time to talk a little bit about your story and your experiences. Like I said, I know whenever we share those, there's always someone that can connect with that and can be encouraged by that. So thank you so much.
Thank you. I had a really nice time with you here and chatting.
All right. Well, like I said, feel free to. Another great way is if maybe you share it personally with someone you know that is going through this journey as well, or just sharing it on social media can help to get the word out to others about the ministry and be able to be encouraged by the interview. So thank you, everyone. And we will be posting about future interviews that we will have coming up. And thank you so much.
Thanks, everybody. And I hope to see you soon.
Thank you for joining us here at Motherless Daughters Ministry. If you need more nurturing words, We encourage you to have a listen to other episodes of this podcast. Don't forget to hit the subscribe or follow button so you can join us again next time.
Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.